watching Arts for the Masses. Yes, the arts are alive in Massachusetts, and I'm the lucky guy who gets to bring them right into your home, whether you're watching online, on Facebook, on my website, www.artsforthemasses.com, or maybe you found us somewhere else. I'm glad you're joining us. There are so many awesome productions going on this summer. I haven't even had a chance to see half of the ones on my list that I've been wanting to check out. But already, all of the big theaters and small theaters around Massachusetts are gearing up for their next season. After the summer, comes the fall and the shows start coming in. And I'm really excited to have the artistic director of Greater Boston Stage Company with me today. That's Waylon Symes. And I think of all the theaters that I've been to in Massachusetts, I have seen the most shows at Greater Boston Stage Company, and maybe it's because I have some personal connections with some people who work there. I don't know, but they've always done such imaginative and creative shows, and I'm really excited to explore and find out what they have coming up next season. So let me welcome Waylon to the show. Hi, Waylon.
Hi, Ryan. Thanks for having me. Great to see you again.
Great to see you too. So, Greater Boston Stage Company, it's located in Stoneham, Massachusetts,
Yep. Used
formerly
to be Stoneham.
known as Stoneham Theater. And that brings me right to my first question. If you could maybe tell me in a nutshell a little bit about the history of having a theater in Stoneham, and maybe even what inspired the change from Stoneham Theater to Greater Boston Stage Company.
Sure. I'll try to be brief. The building was built in 1917 as a vaudeville theater and a movie theater. They were doing silent movies at the time. And all the way up through the early 70s, it showed mostly movies. That was its primary thing after the first kind of couple of decades. And then it was actually shut down. We love this part of the story. It's a little bit of a sordid tale. It was shut down in the early 70s because it was showing X-rated movies.
Oh.
So the theater was then closed for almost 30 years. And then when the owner was in his 90s and passed away in the late 90s, and the building went up for sale. And that's when we kind of came into the picture. And since then, we've been doing a combination of professional main stage theater. We do about 6 or 7 a year, along with a comprehensive education program, and we sprinkle some concerts throughout there as well. And being that we're in the suburbs out in Stoneham, we kind of do work that has broad appeal, but we also do quite a bit of newer work as well, and a mixture of musicals and plays. And you're right about, I think 2017, maybe 5 years ago, we changed the name, and it's something we've been talking about for a very long time. And really, it's simply the idea was we really are a regional theater. We're a theater that appeals to an entire area, and we wanted that to be reflected in the title. And we thought Greater Boston Stage really captured that very well.
Now, as theaters have existed, they all tend to develop their own sort of character. How would you describe the spirit and the character of Greater Boston Stage Company?
Well, I think that our location is a huge part of that. I do think that we are a very friendly, approachable theater, and I think that our work, so much of our work, is kind of fresh takes on familiar stories, or brand new stories that kind of evoke some things that are already known. And that's partly just to appeal to our broader audience, but also kind of appeals to me. I really am intrigued by a show we did last year, Miss Holmes Returns, which is a classic Holmes mystery, but Holmes and Watson are women, and that's just a really kind of fun twist on something that our audiences already know and love.
So I don't want to waste any more time. You have a really diverse and interesting season coming up, and I know you take a lot of time in really crafting a season that has something for everyone. And I really think you've got a lot of great check marks looking through it this coming year. Let's start from the beginning. What's coming up this fall?
Well, we're hard at work. This is the time of year where every year I think, oh, summer's going to be quiet, and all we're doing is frantically getting ready for the next season. The kind of the fun part for me is crafting the season, but then once we decide what we're going to do, hiring all the personnel, making all that happen is a ton of work, and we're kind of in the thick of that right now. But we'll start rehearsals for our first show in just less than a month. Oh my god, that's coming up fast. Less than a month, and our first show is called Popcorn Falls, it's this super fun, almost like a Mickey Rooney Judy Garland type trunk show play. It's two actors who each play multiple roles, telling an absolutely outrageous, outlandish, purely silly tale of a town that. So this is the plot. The plot is the town is going to be flooded by a neighboring town unless they can put on a theater show which will allow them to get a grant to keep the town alive.
I've
you
seen
know,
it before, and I think most plays sound ridiculous if you read the synopsis, but there's something so charming about
yeah,
Popcorn Falls, and and I know you have some really wonderful actors who have been cast as well. All two of them who
all two of them. Yeah,
playing all 50
Chris Chu has
characters.
been, yeah, he's been a part of our theater for a very long time. He was actually our very first director of education way back in 2000. So he's been around with us forever and is a fantastic actor. And Sarah Elizabeth Bedard, who actually, I don't think she's ever been on our stage, but has taught in our education program for many, many years and is a wonderfully talented actress. Yeah, it's such a sweet show. I mean, I think that's the best word to describe it. Very funny, but also very sweet and really a celebration, frankly, of small town life. And that felt kind of perfect, again, for our suburban location. Yeah,
Oh
we're excited
yeah,
for that.
everyone, people, audiences love to see themselves reflected on stage,
Right.
and I, you can probably guarantee that you will see some iteration of your friend or your neighbor or your quirky mailman or someone on the stage when you see that show,
And
and
all done in this charmingly kind of lo-fi way. In that, as I said, it's kind of a trunk show. It's kind of the actors take. We're building a set. We have props, yes, but it's kind of that feeling of they're grabbing whatever is around them. That there's a character who has a cat, and it's a sweater. That's probably what we're going to use for that. And the actor simultaneously plays the role of the cat owner and makes the noises of the cat. And it's that kind of charming lo-fi approach to theater that is kind of feels really great, frankly, post COVID. There's a lot of
it's like
specs
it's
out
a
there.
return to the to celebrating the real craft of acting
Right.
without the full spectacle, and I love spectacle. Let me you know this, Waylon.
I
I
know.
love I love the Rockettes, and I love sight and sound theater, and I love Celtic women. I love it all. I love over the top, but I love a quaint show like this too, where these actors really get to shine. It's gonna be a lot of
Yeah,
fun.
it's kind of a cliche to say, but as an audience member, I love using my imagination. So I love when an actor picks up, a broom and says, this is something completely different, and I'm there and I see it, and that's a really great part of being an audience member.
Okay, after Popcorn Falls, we've had our fill of popcorn kernels. What's going on?
So after that, this is one I'm directing the second show, and I'm really excited because we actually reached out to so Paul Melendi, who's an amazing local actor who was in
My
39
heart.
Steps last year and in Miss Holmes Returns, just an incredibly gifted physical comedian. He was interested, along with John Minigan, who's a local playwright, in doing a one-man version of Washington Irving's The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, and I love that story. And it feels so great. Again, it's set in upstate New York, but it has this wonderful New England feel to it. We're doing that in October, and so Paul and John got together, and we're working on the script kind of as we speak, and working on the set, and we're doing this really fun, kind of spooky take on the Irving tale. Which it's funny, everyone remembers the Headless Horseman, but a lot of it also, the story is it starts as a kind of a romance, and a comic romance that then turns into something that's a little more spooky in the end. And it's just a wonderful take on it. And I'm really excited with what John has already written for it.
And Paul Melendi, Be Still My
Oh my
Heart,
god.
a gem, a heart of the ocean, just one of the just one of the talents, just one of my favorite people to see
Well, just a
perform on
singular like
stage.
skill set on stage. Watching what he does with his body on stage is something that
He,
as a
he
comedian.
gives you lanky Dick Van Dyke realness. He and when he surprises himself on stage, it's even better. It's
Yeah,
great.
Yeah, wish me luck directing that show. He's a force of
When
nature.
you get that lasso and you gotta rein him in, but he's
Yeah,
awesome. He's
he's
terrific.
wonderful. I can't wait. I'm really excited for that one actually. And Katie Montai is the set designer I've been using for about 10 years. I love her, and we've been working on the set. We have a model ready. We're ready to go with that, and it is so fun and spooky with these big moon and trees. It's just going to be a great spooky look for Halloween.
Yeah, is this a family-friendly show?
It is not. Um, it is not family friendly. I would imagine that it's a lot of words, because it's one man show for about 80 minutes or so. So I would think that it would probably be 11 and up. That's kind of a rough guess of when
Sure.
kids would start to be interested in it. Yeah,
Perfect. Right around Halloween. That'll be
there's
awesome.
lots of spooky soundscape to it as well. So that'll be
Excellent.
fun.
And let's keep
Oh, after
going.
that, let's keep going. After that, Little Women, the Broadway musical, which we've never done. It feels like a perfect show for us, given our location, but we've never done it here at the theater. And it was a Broadway hit. My goodness, probably over 10 years ago now. I don't know the exact date. And Elise Robbins, our fabulous, director who does many of our musicals, will be directing that one. And it's a great holiday fair. We're really excited for that one. We're
Uh,
actually
uh,
casting it next week.
wow. Little Women, it is just one of those classic shows, and it's built right around this New England area. And even the recent movie, they came back and filmed it right on location all over
Yeah,
Concord and up in Groton near where I am. And
and it's such a nice family feel to it, and a little bit of holiday connection to it, but really just feels like a show for everybody at that time of year. Is a great thing, and just gorgeous music, really
the
gorgeous.
the show starts at Christmas time. Is it right at the beginning of the show that they're
I
celebrating
believe
the holiday,
I
or?
believe it's right at the beginning. Yep,
Yeah.
yep, yeah, yeah.
And it's
So
just
we're excited.
about a beautiful family just trying to,
Yeah,
just like so many families, just trying to make sense of life and deal with
yep,
all the tribulations and trials that they've been dealt, and
yeah,
coming out strong on top of it. It's a really
yeah.
inspirational story too.
It's funny. It's one of the shows where, as I said, I'm kind of surprised we haven't done it already because it feels like such a perfect fit for us and for our audiences. So I'm glad we're finally doing it.
And when it was on Broadway in such a huge theater, this intimate family show, I imagine, was swallowed up in so many ways. And I think
Oh
your
my
theater
goodness,
is
you're
such
even reading my diaries. I'm obsessed with this idea of shows that
dear
that go to Broadway.
diary.
Dear Diary, Little Women's too big for Broadway. I mean, too small for Broadway. I think that's such a common thing that there are certain shows that are written that are meant to be kind of medium or small shows, and they work really well in spaces like ours. And they take them to Broadway, and they feel a little lost, or they feel like they've added a bit too much to them in order to make them try to work on Broadway. So I
Yeah,
think this
too
show,
many extra set pieces and things,
yeah,
and I have this strange fever dream, and this does not happen in the show, but my fever dream is that Joe is singing "Astonishing," her big number, and there's a giant book, this book she's been writing, and she gets on top of it like Aladdin on the magic carpet, and she flies over the audience,
yeah,
and
we're gonna do that. That's
oh.
totally what we're gonna do.
Okay, well,
It's gonna be
just make
great.
sure you give me credit, and
Okay,
uh,
all right.
and I've got the number to Flying by Foy. We'll hook you up, and we'll get, or ZFX,
Fabulous.
whoever you want. They'll do it right. Okay,
I'm on it.
before we get past Christmas, are you doing a? I know you always do a New Year's Eve concert. Do you have a concert planned this
We
year?
are. Strictly Sinatra is Michael Dutra does a wonderful Sinatra tribute. We actually did it last October, and he's coming back for New Year's Eve. A little different schedule this year. We're doing a 3 and 7 p.m. show, so a little earlier in the day. People can go to dinner afterwards, but it's going to be a lot of fun. They were really great. He's got, I think, a 9-piece band along with him,
Oh,
so
fun!
really, yeah, great.
Swinging the
All the
hits.
classics.
Love it.
Yep.
Okay, let's keep moving.
All right, move on to number four. Right, number four, Boulevard of Bold Dreams. I always get that title wrong, but I got it right that time. This is a brand new play by Ladarian Williams, and it's actually going to be playing in Chicago. Its world premiere is happening 3 weeks before our run and overlaps with ours, and it is a fictional take on the evening when Hattie McDaniels won her Academy Award for Gone with the Wind. And it's just a fascinating exploration of the fact that she wasn't allowed to be in the room. She came in when her award was announced. And so it imagines her kind of waiting in a bar um, during the ceremony and kind of really actually deciding whether she should stay. And it really addresses many of the myriad issues around her win, the fact that she was the first African American woman to win, but also the fact that she played so many roles of maids and servants, and that within the African American community, that was certainly a subject of discussion repeatedly, and she received her fair share of criticism about that.
Oh,
It's a, it's a
even well after her death,
yeah, yep.
I believe it was certain colleges didn't even want to hang on to that award, and
Oh,
there's
I didn't
such
know that part.
oh yeah,
Interesting.
there's
Yeah.
such a history about it, and even in discussing just the idea of this actual historical event with some of my coworkers, they want to see this show already because it's fascinating, and I just love this. You know, you have to expand on it in a fictitious way to flesh
Right.
out all the details of that night. But knowing that it's based on something that actually happened is
Yeah, it's
something
such a great hook,
that
isn't
is
it? to
it's
see.
a great hook.
And
Absolutely.
the playwright did a lot of research, and it really does address this issue head on with Hattie really kind of talking about. I mean, in her mind, a big part of it was she had no other. It's not as if she was being offered, lead roles in movies. These were the roles she was offered. So some of it's just the idea of this is the work that was there for her, and she also thought of it as a way of, frankly, celebrating some of um, her parents and grandparents who were maids, who were did fulfill some of the roles in society, and reflecting that. So it's really interesting how the play tackles it.
I wish I had the quote with me, but she said something along the lines of I'd rather play a maid than be a maid or something like that, you know?
I don't
Which
know if that's a direct quote, but it's something like that. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
can't
It's a
wait for that one.
really, really great story, and you're right. Something about knowing that, obviously, that it's based on a true story makes it really all the more compelling. Also, has a tiny bit of music in it, which is fun.
And this is going to be right around Oscar season, right?
Yep, yes, it's
Oh,
March. Oh, goodness, I should have the dates. I'm looking right now.
yeah,
March.
so that ties in with if you're watching the
Yep,
Academy
March
Awards
29th. Yep,
and you want to get a little bit of history of how things went down way
yep.
back in the day, check it.
Back in the
Boulevard of Broken Dreams.
bold,
Oh,
not broken, bold. I
that's what
know, Matt. You messed it up.
is that the mistake you keep making too? Broken
That's the
Dreams?
mistake I keep making. It's Boulevard of Bold Dreams.
Bold Dreams.
Yes,
You
not
have to
broken
make sure
dreams.
you put it in a bold font.
Okay,
So
that's a great.
yeah, just make
Wow,
sure you tell
wow.
the marketing team a bold font. Um,
I will tell them that.
yeah, just bold and
All right, shall
bold.
we go on to the next one?
Yes,
Yeah.
please, Waylon. Tell me what's next.
Um, this is one sells itself. Beehive, '60s musical. Um, and again, Elise Robbins, the lovely Elise Robbins, will be directing that one. Um, it's exactly what it sounds like. It takes a whole bunch of great songs from the '60s and throws them up on stage, but also kind of tells the story a little bit of the songs and of the era in a really wonderful way. It really focuses on Janis Joplin and Diana Ross and Aretha Franklin and others that I am totally blanking on right now.
And it's a
But
full. I've seen it before. I remember Act One being more of a review with a bunch of different
right,
people on stage, and then Act Two is more like an actual concert where people are coming out and doing their big numbers,
that is accurate. Yep.
and oh,
Yeah.
it's a blast. It
That's
really
a
is.
rocking good time, really is. So we're excited to be doing that. Actually, Elise had the opportunity to direct it up at Peterborough Players last summer, which is where I got to see it and really just decided we need to do this show.
It's just fun, and
It's
it's not,
yep,
and you get to produce it from start to finish. So it's
right.
it's the GBSC version
Oh,
of
exactly.
of the
Yeah,
show.
yeah.
You get to put your stamp on it, which
Oh, yeah.
you
I didn't say that in my spiel about our theater. Is that because I feel like people always one of the biggest questions I always get asked is, "Hey, where did the show come from? Where's it going?" And like most regional theaters, we produce from the ground up, so we hire all of the actors, all of the designers, everybody, and there's no we don't buy the shows, we make them, and that's true of 90% of what we do.
Beautiful. Okay.
Oh, last
I-
one.
Is this our last one?
Oh, last one
Is this
coming
it?
up. You ready? I'm excited. I've been trying for 3 years to get this show, maybe four actually. Yeah, the final show of the season is Clue on stage, which
Oh,
so some people may know, although if you're lucky you don't know this. There's been a Clue the musical out for probably 25 years, maybe longer than that, for a long time. It's Can I say this? I'm going to say it. It's terrible.
it's really bad.
It's
It's
awful. It's one of these shows where I feel like every 5 years. So as someone who chooses seasons, I'm constantly rereading work to say, well, maybe it's better than I think. And I feel like every few years I reread Clue the musical, thinking it's such a great idea. Let's do it. And I read it and think this is terrible. We can never put this on
no.
stage.
Well, just the idea of Clue for them to take a chance and develop the board
Yeah,
game into the movie in the first place was a
right.
risky idea,
Yeah,
but
and it
it
worked.
turned out really well. It's a cult classic, and it worked. The musical
Right.
iteration,
Oh, it's
not so much. So,
work.
but that's
I mean,
something
it's not
too.
as
Is
bad as Carrie the musical, but it's close.
well, I love Carrie the musical,
Oh my god, really, Ryan Maliar?
and
Is
I
that a
love
true statement?
this is. Oh, you can ask Brian. This is one of my favorite shows, and only the original version with Betty Buckley, because it was so bizarre that it's
Well,
good to me. And then they tried to make it about bullying and they made it too
yeah.
real when they redid it. But the original had some rhyming dialogue even, which was
Wow, that I
ooh,
did not know.
what a clod. Look at that
Okay.
bod. Like good
Wow.
stuff like that.
Okay.
I'll do my one man version for you at some point.
Okay. Great. Great. That'll be season 24.
Great.
We'll throw that in there.
Okay, we're doing
Um,
Clue. We're doing
but
Clue
anyway,
based on the Parker Brothers board game.
so
The Parker
yeah,
Brothers.
so probably like 5 or 6, right, Pocket Brothers, 5 or 6 years ago, they took somebody had the brilliant idea to say, let's take the movie and do a stage adaptation based on that. And it's so much fun. It's interesting because once you go back and watch the movie, the play is not at all kind of a verbatim or a totally accurate rendition of the movie, but it feels like it. It's the exact same energy. So much fun, so much silliness. It actually it's not a musical, but it has choreographed numbers, which is really fun. And I'm just, frankly, I'm so excited for that one. It's
Well, I
also,
think
as my friend Tyler Rosada, who used to be our director of education, used to say, like, I'm intrigued by any show that's impossible, and Clue is pretty much impossible. You read the script, and it has 1,000 locations, and it just can't be done. So that's kind of fun to figure out how do you create 15 different locations on a relatively small regional theater stage, and I can't wait to tackle it. It's going to be so much fun, and I imagine we've not cast it yet, but I imagine we're going to have kind of the cream of the crop of Boston comedic actors, and that'll be so much fun.
and I think it's
Can't
fun
wait.
that the script has changed the movie a little bit. Otherwise, it turns into a Rocky Horror with people shouting out their favorite lines. So you got to flip it on its head, and that way
Exactly.
people won't
And
be
it does have some
expecting.
of those favorite lines. It absolutely does. But it also, I also think that, frankly, movies don't. I mean, anyone can tell you, movies do not translate directly to stage. It just wouldn't work. So I'm really glad that someone said that's not what we should do. We should write a play that feels like the movie, and that's exactly what they did. And it's just pure, unadulterated silliness from beginning to end. Our young company kids, part of our education program, did it last winter, and so I actually got to see a bunch of high schoolers perform it on with basically no set, and I was stunned how well it worked, even without all the slamming doors you want and all that kind of stuff. Just very very funny.
So
So
it's
I
giving
can't.
you like
That's
it's
the
so it's giving you
what's
like
that?
traditional farce energy. Is that what we've
Oh
got?
yeah. Oh, absolutely. And just such dumb humor. I mean, the best dumb humor. Really, really stupid jokes that'll make you laugh and kind of groan at yourself for laughing at the same time. So, which I love that.
That's going to be a
I
great
love if
season
joke can be
closer.
really bad but still make me laugh at it.
You mentioned
But
the
maybe
Young
that's just me.
Company, and you've had an education program at the theater for a very long
Oh
time,
my goodness.
and it's
Since the
really
very first year. Yep.
wow. Tell me how what the Young Company's up to, and if can you give me any insight about what they're going to be doing next season?
I can't tell you next season yet, but I
Okay,
can tell
okay.
you that we we are finishing up our summer festival. So our two big festivals for the Young Company each year are the summer and winter, and they perform in August and then in February. And those are they rehearse for multiple weeks. In the summer, they rehearse for 4 weeks, then they come into the theater and perform on stage. In the winter, actually pretty similar. They rehearse for about 4 weeks and then perform on stage. And they do mostly musicals, though the occasional play. This summer, we're doing Matilda and Chicago, and I've seen both of them, and they're fantastic. So those are really, really fun. And we are just about to announce winter festival shows, but I can't let you know now because we actually haven't finally decided. That's always a long, tortuous process, and we have to be careful not to let the kids know in advance of what we're doing. So, but very soon, check out our
Well,
website.
and that's exactly what I was going to say. Is
There you go.
if you're curious about Greater Boston Stage Company, just check out the website because we've only just brushed the surface of the main stage productions that the theater is doing.
Right.
But there are so many concerts and special events, and you're even bringing in some theater for young audiences
We
shows.
are.
Oh,
Yep. In
mention
spring of
those briefly. Tell me
2023.
about
Yeah, we're
those.
doing Lightning Thief and Junie B. Jones. That is a touring show, so that's coming in through Theater Works. We'll be doing those in spring of 2023, and we're really excited. We've been talking for years about doing this, and excited to be able to bring this to our younger audiences. I should also say that our website's brand new. It's pretty spiffy, so go there just to check it out. And a cool video on the front, which Ryan played a role in doing that video. Yeah, little plug for Ryan Meliar, video editor or whatever. There.
And just follow
So
follow Greater Boston Stage Company everywhere. They're really active
yeah,
on Facebook and
Facebook,
Instagram.
Instagram. We're dipping our toe into TikTok for the education program, but
Oh,
we're still learning. Not so good at that yet, but we're getting there.
awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Waylon. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Ryan. This is super fun.
Well, that brings me to the end of another episode of Arts for the Masses. If you have a local theater company and you're putting on a show, hey, get in touch with me. I'd love to help you promote it, whether we do something virtual like this type of interview, or you can join me here at the studio I work out of, right in the heart of Marlborough at WMCT TV. That's where I am right now. Please follow Arts for the Masses on Facebook and check out the website too, artsforthemasses.com. I've got a new calendar where I'm updating it all the time with upcoming productions around the area. I love to support the arts and I hope you'll continue to do so as well. Take care.